In this episode, I will be explaining to you guys the difference between using a hammock for sleeping or even using a bivy tent, and even how to scout out camp. I'm now going to set up camp, and I have two options and so do you. Are you going to be a ground sleeper in your bivy tent, or are you going to be a sky sleeper in your hammock? Now, there will be terrain differences, such as this slope which we have over here. And I will also list you guys the pros and the cons of sleeping in your bivy tent versus sleeping in your hammock. Let's go. So when we're looking for a place to camp, there are usually two things which we want to look out for. And that's how are we sleeping and what's the material of the ground. So what are we actually sleeping on? So for example, with our bivy tent, we're on a relatively flat surface over in this area, which means we're lower to the ground. So if you have potential threats for whatever reason, the chances of them seeing you aren't very high. As well, it's probably more comfortable since you've got an actual mattress which you can sleep on. But if you do have no other option, you've got no trees to put your hammock on, and you have to sleep on the floor, it's always best to sleep with your head facing up and your feet facing down. Now, if you've got a very bad material floor and there are rocks and sticks everywhere, and as well there's a really large slope, as you can see all the way up here, it's a really large slope. So sleeping in a bivy tent probably isn't the most comfortable thing. So going with something like a hammock is a much better option. But here's the catch, is with a hammock, you have to have trees and maximum 4 meters. So you might have trees, but if they're all spread out or they're all too close, it's no good. So you need to have them in a really relatively compact, but not too compact space. And that's how you can set up a hammock. Depending on what kind of sleeper you are, one option may be better than the other and it may be more comfortable. But then again, you also have to think about how's the floor, what's the slope, are there even animals? For example, animals. That's a really big thing, not only for the safety of yourself, but for the safety of them too. So if they're smaller animals like rabbits, or if they're ducks or pigs, having a hammock is better because they can go underneath you and you don't bother them. Or if you're in a bivy tent, for example, and there are pigs, they're not going to see you. They're just going to walk right over you. And first of all, that's not good for you or for your sleep quality. I'm sure your watch wouldn't say so. Second of all, it's also not very good for the animal because they could hurt themselves, etc. So there are loads of different options and things you have to consider when choosing between sleeping on the ground or sleeping in the trees. Now let's have a look at each option, the hammock and the bivy tent, in a close-up. Now, what do I like about this tent and what do I think just in general are some really good features? Well, starting off is it's really easy to get in. You can unzip the side like so. Just unzip it. Make sure you don't get anything stuck in the way because you don't want to ruin the tent. You can open up and it's really easy to get in. And it's pretty comfortable too. Now, what I also like about this tent is it's a military grade tent, so chances of something poking through or breaking the tent isn't overly high, but you always want to make sure you put a mat underneath just in case something can penetrate through it, that you, first of all, you don't ruin the tent itself and you don't ruin the mattress which is inside. Another great thing is if you're, let's say you're camping or you're just you're overnighting somewhere with a really nice view, you can open this up over here. Not only do you get more air and it's a more comfortable sleep, but in the morning you can also have a look out and have a nice view to where you're camping. Now, one thing which I don't like about this tent is it's relatively small and it's a relatively compact space. So when you're inside of the tent, you might feel, if you've got any claustrophobia issues, you might feel like you're too pressed into one space. But one way which you can possibly avoid that is by when you sleep and you put all your clothes at the end where your feet are, not only does it keep your feet warm, but it'll also give you a little bit more room to breathe and a little bit more room to feel comfortable while you're sleeping. Now, if you also don't like any bugs, Of course, there is a net to stop bugs from getting in, but since bugs are small, there might be a chance that some creepy crawlies might go into your tent. And like I said, if you don't like bugs, it's no good. You're not going to sleep well, you'll feel uncomfortable, and you'll feel like you're not necessarily safe. So if you don't have any claustrophobia issues and you don't care about bugs and you can find a really good spot to camp, I would say a bivy tent is a great option, especially if your mattress isn't too high. I think the bivy tent is great. So this is our second option, and it's a hammock. Now, what I really love about this is it's really comfortable to sleep in. Second of all, it's really light. So from the weight, you're ranging about 700 to 900 grams worth of weight. Now, if you take a close look to this pouch over here, you can see how this large hammock turns into such a small space. And so because it's so light and becomes really compact, it's super space efficient and you'll barely feel it in your backpack. Here's another thing, is that this hammock is really, really tough. This is a ripstop nylon material, so you really don't have to worry about ripping it. Unless it is your intention to break it, then of course it's gonna break. Now, how is this actually set up? If you have a look, you've got this cord, which goes just once around the tree and back through this loop, and just like that, you're finished. You do on the same side, and just like that, your hammock's up. Now with the tent here, which avoids bugs, which is a really great option if you don't like bugs, this will prevent them. The way this is done is it goes around, once around, paired with the ridge line, and boom, just like that, it's finished. Now, I personally, I'm not very talented at getting into hammocks. So if you have the same issue, it's sad, but it's okay. But you just pull it down to your bum, sit in it like this, get this over you. All you have to do is boom, and a comfy night's sleep. You can even put your clothes to the back or to the front if you either want a pillow or if your feet are cold and you want to warm them up. And it rocks. So if you like white noise or you like being rocked to sleep, it's a pretty good option. So yeah, that's all you have to know about this hammock.